How's it going, YouTube? This is Skul, and welcome to my Game Room Tour 2019. It's been a few years now since I've done a room tour of my game room, and a lot has changed in here since then. Isn't that right, R2? Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first things first, everyone meet R2B1. For those of you who have been following me on Twitter, and I've been hinting at this for the past year or so, this has been my super secret project that I've been working on. I was hoping to get him running around by the new year, but still has some work to do. As you can see, he's not yet finished, but hopefully I'll have him done by the end of this year instead. At least I got his lights going and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I'll have a full video for him when he's all done, so be on the lookout for that in the future. Let's go ahead and start with my Switch collection. As you can see here, I have quite a few games. The exact number for this and all collections that you'll see in this video are on the screen right now. Some standout titles would obviously be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I consider the greatest game of all time. And for my personal collection would be this copy of Super Mario Odyssey, which was signed by Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario. I got to meet him and he signed that for me. Tons of great games there. I have every limited run game, super rare game, and game from East Asia Soft, and just keeping on top of it. I love the Switch, it's a great system, and I love collecting for it. And below that we got my retail PS4 collection. I just collect whatever I feel like. I pick up what I feel like playing. Some of the best games on the system include Horizon Zero Dawn, cannot recommend that enough. The Last of Us Remastered, God, I love that game. I can't wait for Last of Us Part 2 this year. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, hopefully that'll get a Switch port. Yeah, you can see what all I've got there. And over here is my small collection of Vita games that I have so far. Just below all that is my collection of limited run PS4 games. The best ones that I got probably are the very first one they released, Saturday Morning RPG. There's only 1,980 copies of that in the world. I also got Night Trap, which I'm super happy to have. And I also have their first PSVR game, Pixel Gear. Ordered the second one, not in yet. So next time I make a collection video, it'll be interesting to see how much that has upgraded. And we also have my collection of some of my favorite 3DS systems here. I actually own a total of 11 3DS systems, and you can see 5 of them right here. I love the 3DS. I love collecting variants of them, especially now that a lot of them are super cheap to pick up. So yeah, that just seemed like a good place to display them. And underneath that are my current collection of Wii U games. I would love to get a complete Wii U library. It's not that big, and the Wii U is just chock full of great games. If I were to pick out some of my favorites, obviously one most of you would probably know me for would be Splatoon. Let's see. Also have, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Here we go, Super Smash Brothers. For Wii U, I got really good at that game, maybe too good. It's affected my ability to play the Switch version. Yeah, I just love the Wii U and everything about it, and of course Breath of the Wild did release on that system as well. Then we have my original Xbox collection. I just started collecting for this system and it's an absolute blast. I just love the original Xbox. I never actually played it when it was relevant, but I've picked it up recently and I just love it so much. The biggest standouts, of course, would be Halo, and especially Halo 2. I did not mean to pick out Fantastic Four. Do not play that game. Here, Halo 2. I just love sitting down and playing that. Old shooters, there's just something about them that just screams awesome to me. And yeah, I just love the original Xbox. Below that is my current collection of Xbox One games. I don't have that many, but the ones I have I feel are definitely worth it. Red Dead Redemption 2, which I play on my Xbox One X. It looks absolutely stunning. Forza Horizon 4 in 4K looks amazing. Grand Theft Auto 5, one of the best games of this generation. And yeah, I just get them on my Xbox. I don't have many games for the Xbox One, but whatever I have, I love to play. And I have a very pitiful collection of Xbox 360 games. Some standout titles would actually be BioShock Infinite for me, and believe it or not, Call of Duty 2. I played it a little bit. It was actually a good game. I'm not a Call of Duty fanboy by any means, but I played it for a little bit and actually thought that it was a decent game. Those games will not stay up. And at the bottom of my mountain shelf right now is my current PlayStation 2 collection. Such a great system. Again, I didn't actually play this that much when it first came out, but I've slowly gotten into collecting the games, and I just got a PlayStation 2 for Christmas, and I can't wait to play through some of these. Some standout titles for this system would include Final Fantasy X and X-2, and Final Fantasy XII, and just tons of other ones that I just don't have. But probably one that I think a lot of people would recommend for the system would be SSX, which, oh man, just such a fun game. The PlayStation 2 is full of hidden gems. I mean, there's over 2,000 games on the system, so chances are there's a lot of games that people just haven't found yet that I can't wait to dig into in the future. Let's go ahead and swing behind the couch here a little bit. We've got my Wii Fit board and my beanbag chair, which, come on, who doesn't love a beanbag chair? And on top of this shelf, we've got some of my favorite things ever. 2 Pokewalkers, a few more 3DS systems. That was my very first 3DS. It's still my main 3DS system to this day. And then I got the red variant to go with it. My PlayStation Vita, which I keep in the box. I take it out of the box whenever I want to play with it. My favorite ever Game Boy Advance. Well, kinda. This was the, this isn't my exact Game Boy Advance that I had growing up, but it's the same kind of Game Boy Advance, the Toys R Us variant. And then these are my Pokemon distribution cartridges. I've made a whole video talking about what these are, and if you don't know what they're about, then I highly recommend you look into them because they are cool. I have a total of 6 of them. Below that on the first shelf here are my complete DVD collection of the Pokemon movies, and then my Blu-ray copies of Pokemon I Choose You, movies 1 through 3, movies 10 through 13, and my Super Deluxe Essential Guidebook, basically a complete Pokédex through Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And then underneath that are my Super Nintendo games. I don't have many of them, but the ones that I do have, I'm very happy to have. One of my favorite Super Nintendo games ever would be Yoshi's Island. Some of the best games on the system would include Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario World, which is playing on the TV over there. And then at the very bottom of the shelf, I got my Sega Genesis games. Again, don't have many of them, but I have some standout titles like Sonic, Sonic 2, Phantasy Star 4, which I can't wait to dig my teeth into. And over here, this is pretty cool. I have these custom end labels. These are for Atari Jaguar, these are for the N64. And as you probably know, those system games did not have end labels on the tops of them, so if you put them on a shelf, you can't identify what the game is like you can with other game systems. For example, you can see this one is Jeopardy just by looking at it, but you couldn't tell that with the N64 and Atari Jaguar games. So I have these end labels, and whenever I get a new game to add to my collection, I just put the end labels on top so I can identify it easily on my shelf. Between the shelves, I have my small collection of Xbox 360 Kinect games. As you can see, it's basically Just Dance 2014 and 3 copies of Kinect Adventures. Behind that, it's kind of hard to see. That's where I keep my extra chargers for my Vita and my Game Boy, Advance SP, and 3DS systems. On top of this other shelf, we have more handheld systems. This is basically most of my non-3DS systems. We got my first Game Boy Color, another Game Boy Color, a few DS's, including this awesome Dialga and Palkia themed one, a few GBAs, including this GBA SP AGS 101, an original Game Boy, and probably my favorite item in my whole collection is Latios and Latios Game Boy Advance. I made a whole video unboxing that. Love it to death. If I were to have to get rid of my whole collection but only keep a few things, that would be the first thing that I keep. And on the shelf underneath it is my current N64 collection. I love collecting for the N64. It was my first love. I have so many games for it now, and I love playing on it whenever I can. Just oh so good, and I can't wait to complete this one day. If I were to have a standout game for you guys, I mean, everyone loves their Legend of Zeldas, right? Ocarina of Time, that's a standout game. Got all sorts of things here. It's kind of hard to see. Pokemon Stadium is probably my favorite N64 game. I put so many hours into this, and I love it so much. It's Pokemon in 3D, okay? The little kid in me is still kind of amazed to see it, even now. Taking a quick break right now to show off my awesome wife, Sadazay, and our cat, Alex.
Hi, Kitty. Say hi, Alex.
Cats make every video better.
They really do.
I forgot to show you above this shelf, we have this long, shiny Mega Rayquaza plush that my wife picked up from the Pokemon World Championships in 2016. And above that, we have two Best Buy release posters for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. And to the left of all of that, we've got my own little knick-knack, whatever. My own little corner of things that may or may not have to do with video games. Obviously, you've met R2, but we also have my movie poster for The Power of One, and my movie posters for the 3 Balto movies. I love Balto so much, I have my whole life. Probably never going to lose that love. Behind that is my Jumbo Pop for my Nick Wilde cosplay, and it is signed by Alan Tudyk, who voices Duke Weaselton in the film. He's a freaking legend. If you guys don't know who he is, trust me, you've seen him somewhere. Underneath the Balto posters are my 3 current Pokemon 20th Anniversary 2DS systems. I'm just missing Pokemon Red version. Ash's Pikachu life-size plush, which I got after seeing Pokemon I Choose You in theaters. Awesome Pikachu-themed Nintendo 64, and underneath that is a spare Wii U. And then my NES collection. So, I don't have many games for this either. Some standouts would obviously be the original Legend of Zelda, which now I can't put back, and what I think every single NES owner has, Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. Can't play Duck Hunt, I don't have a CRT, but I do have it. Below that is my current PS3 collection, as you can see there. I don't actually have a PS3, so I can't play any of these yet, but when I do, at least I'll be able to play The Last of Us in its original glory, which is awesome. Let's see. Also got some other games here, like Skate 3, Grand Theft Auto 4, which I play a bit on my PC a little, and Uncharted Drake's Fortune. So when I get a PS3, at least I'll have some great games to play on it. Below that, we have my few GameCube games, including Super Smash Bros. Melee, which I'm sure most of you would consider the definitive Super Smash Bros. Game. And we also have my current Wii collection. Some standout titles from this would include The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And, won't go back in. Whatever, that's my Wii collection, I'll figure it out later. And over here we just got some odds and ends. As you can see, it's a very dark corner. My physical Overwatch for PC, Grand Theft Auto 4 for PC, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 for PC, and the boot drive for my GameCube's Game Boy player, which is actually in the GameCube right now. None of these are wanting to go back in. Up next is something that's not video game related, so I'm just going to glance over it. This is my Stormtrooper costumes. I have all these helmets. Every helmet corresponds with a different costume I have. I am a member of the 501st Legion, as is my wife. We also have Porgs, because I love Porgs. I absolutely love them. Batteries for R2 for when he eventually does start moving. More parts for R2 that I need to paint and put on. And my Poke Plush collection. I love collecting Poke Plushes, especially life-size Poke Plushes. Absolutely love them. So we have all of these here. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. I just love all of them so much. Standout would be the Snowy, which was given to me by a patron / mod on my Discord server. Charmander, which I picked up at the Pokemon World Championships in person. Togepi, which I bought at a store here that the store owner brought back with him from a trip from Japan. Other life-size plushes in my room include my Pikachu here, and my life-size Primarina, which is currently taking up this whole half of the couch just because I don't know where else to put her right now. But I love her. I love all my Poke Plushes. Isn't she adorable? Some more posters. I got my poster for Pokemon the first movie with this original incorrect release date. A Japanese poster for Pokemon Black and White movies. Aragon sword, Zarok, from the movie. That's a master replica sword. There were only 1,000 made, and I happen to have one of them. And moving on, we have a Pokeball backpack, which I take with me whenever I go places. Ash's hat, which I sometimes wear when I do. And then my YouTube silver play button. As you can see, Skul TCG. Congratulations for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Maybe one day I'll pass more. Isn't that beautiful? You can see me. Hello. And above that is my letter from the CEO of YouTube congratulating me when I passed that. Above the door is my Nintendo sign, which I got from Rose Colored Gaming. The door itself leads to the bathroom, so no need to show that off. More posters, because I love posters. Got a poster for Pokemon Heroes, and a limited D23 poster for Star Wars The Force Awakens. There's a very limited number of these in the world. They were only given out to attendees of D23. A fan of mine actually attended and asked if I would like it instead, and I said yes, and here it is in my room. Got a poster for Pokemon Let's Go here, and my lightsaber and my wife's lightsaber. That one's mine, that one's hers. And my pop collection. I don't collect mini pops. That's a rabbit hole I do not want to go down. But I do have a Porg pop because, of course, I have a complete Zootopia pop set and most of the Frozen pops. Many of you probably recognize this area. This is my blue screen that I sit in front of whenever I record videos, usually showing off my face. We got this table set up here. That's an extension cord for a laptop. My wife loves to sit here, and she usually makes this her spot, but I managed to persuade her to clear it for the video. Behind the blue screen is just a closet that I use for storage. The blue screen is actually on the closet doors, and whenever I need to get back there, I just move the doors, go in, and then put the doors back when I come out. It's a really streamlined process. Above that's my little Phases of the Death Star thing that I got for Christmas last year. We have another Let's Go poster on top of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee boxes. And underneath that is my handheld collection. So, we got all of my Game Boy games here. I have a complete Pokemon main series collection as well, so those are mainly the standouts. We got Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, which I got put into these custom cases. Every single Game Boy game I have is in these custom cases that I made. It just took a DS case, cut out the extra plastic, and put the Game Boy game in there. And I made the custom covers thanks to thecoverproject.net. We have some boxes here, including Pokemon Crystal, which is really hard to get out right now, otherwise I'd show it to you. My eventual goal is to get every single Pokemon game, including spin-offs, complete in box. I have all the main series games at least loose now. I'm only missing 9 boxes for them. Underneath that is my Game Boy Advance collection. Don't have too many games there, and most of them are Pokemon. A few loose cartridges there, and some heavy things and manuals. Then we have games like this that just won't fit in a case. I don't know exactly what to do with stuff like that. But once I figure it out, then hopefully I'll be able to show you guys how what kind of solution I came up with. All my DS games, and an extra copy of Pokemon Stadium. on all my 3DS games. Again, almost all of them are Pokemon. I have a few others. Metroid Samus Returns was a really, really fun game. Cannot recommend it enough. Pilot Wings Resort was surprisingly fun. I love the original Pilot Wings on the N64. Picked that up and I put so many hours into that. Then I have all of my extra Switch controllers. I have almost every kind of Joy-Con there is. I'm only missing the Super Smash Bros. Themed Joy-Cons. Those are the Let's Sing microphones. And my 3 Pro controllers, I'm only missing the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Pro controller. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully I'll be able to get those someday. Coming back a little bit, when you first enter the room, you will see quite a few things. First of all is this flag for the 501st Legion. It is an actual flag that we take to events whenever we can. Underneath that is this awesome display piece. This is a promotional vinyl poster that was hung in a shop in South America to promote the release of Pokemon Gold and Silver. And it went up on eBay and I snagged it and now it hangs here in my game room. On the other wall, we have my beautiful Elsa painting that I picked up at Walt Disney World. My giant Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale poster. Above that is a beautiful painting from Fantasia 2000 that we picked up at Disneyland. A few more pictures we got at Disney World. And then this shelf, not really gaming related, so I'll try and skip over it as fast as possible, but maybe some of you longtime viewers of my channel will care about this stuff. These are some of the only remaining Pokemon cards I have left. My all-time favorite card, Gold Star Latias, a Full Art Latias and Latios EX, and extra Ash's Pikachu cards, which were given away to people who went to see Pokemon I Choose You in theaters. A Jumbo Latias and Latios card from Japan in release of Pokemon Heroes. A Jumbo Victini card that was released in North America with Pokemon White, Victini, and Zekrom, which we saw in theaters, and I got to keep the card. We got this awesome pouch for my Switch, which is signed by all of my friends that I met when I went to New York last year. So it'd be Fishy, Choco, Sagasi, and Crystal who signed this. I'm only missing, well, I'm missing quite a few. I've made more friends since then, but I'm missing quite a few, and I hope to take this with me whenever I go to events that I know they're going to so they can sign it. And of course, Zippy, my channel mascot, sits right here. Underneath that is my big box VHS collection. Most of these I had since I was very little. I know VHSs are long since ancient, but there's just something about them that I love. And just the fact that most of these were actually mine when I grew up, it just adds to the nostalgia. And below that, got some interesting things. It's my Laserdisc collection, topped by the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition. The original unaltered Star Wars Trilogy on VHS. We have a Playing with Power NES Classics Guide book. And my current collection of Nintendo Power magazines. I would love to get a full collection someday. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's something that I'm working on the side, and I just love Nintendo Power. I never subscribed to it when I was growing up, and it's just great to go back and read all the issues one by one and see what was big and hot and what was totally not way back when. Moving on, we have my entire collection of a complete collection of Amiibos. I have every single Amiibo figure ever released, including the Monster Hunter Amiibo and QB Amiibo, which were released in Japan only. The only exceptions are the Gold and Silver Trophy Monster Hunter Amiibo that have never appeared in the public, so they don't count. I have this Super Mario Cereal Amiibo, which is just Velcro to the wall so I can take it off whenever I need to. And some custom Amiibo up here. Probably my favorite, by far my favorite actually, is this custom Mimikyu if it were wearing a Helioptile costume instead of a Pikachu costume. And that was done by Gonda Chris, probably the best custom Amiibo creator in the world. And there's only one in the world, and that one's mine, and that's made specifically for me. Super happy to have that, but all these custom Amiibo are awesome. But I've stopped collecting custom Amiibo. I'm only going after regular Amiibo. I mean, look at how many there are right now, and I have every one. Above the Amiibo are my boxes for video game consoles. Some of these I have, some of them I've just been given or picked up as I've gone, but I just love collecting boxes for the consoles. It's fun to see the newer stuff, like Switches over there, and then the older stuff, like the Super Nintendo, and just seeing, you know, what the boxes looked like when people first picked them up in the stores. How many boxes were actually kept over the years? But I love collecting them and I love displaying them wherever I can. Above my computer is a whole ton of miscellaneous game stuff. Mostly game boxes that I just don't have anywhere else to put. Got my Sonic Mania Collector's Edition there. Octopath Traveler Collector's Edition. Extra dock for my Switch. A Switch carrying case. A few NASA launch vehicles. I love NASA so much. The few Skylanders I have left. 6 Burger King Pokeballs, which are pretty much the closest to real Pokeballs you could ever get in terms of looks and size. 2 boxed Burger King Pokeballs. This awesome Helioptile in a Pokeball that was given me from the same person as gave me the Vulpix, actually. For Christmas. A llama from Fortnite. The only Disney Infinity I cared to ever get. And, let's see, a Game Boy Color carrying case behind this. My favorite newest addition to the shelf is this acrylic Pikachu, which glows all sorts of different colors, and you can toggle what color you want it to be, and it just automatically goes through them. It's super awesome. I absolutely love this. One of my favorite Christmas gifts this year. Next, I have my computer itself, and I absolutely love this setup. It's hard to go through everything, but I'll try. Let's see, that's a 28-inch 4K screen, that's a 24-inch HD screen. That is 4K, it's really awesome being able to play games in 4K. Watch videos and movies in 4K is just absolutely amazing. This is my only 4K screen in the house, and it was the very first 4K screen I've ever personally owned. And of course we got my my 1080p screen, which is playing one of my older Splatoon 2 videos. As you can see there, I was just joking that I was switching to Fortnite. Keyboard is just generic. It came with my computer. Mouse is a Corsair of some kind. Have a hub for my mouse pad with all sorts of USB things out of it. Got a snowball microphone. Got all sorts of switches on my wall for whenever I want to swap between my monitor as a second computer monitor or my Xbox One X, PlayStation Slim, or PlayStation 4 Slim, and Nintendo Switch, which you can all see right there. And with a few presses of a button on the wall, I could swap this monitor between them. And they're ready to go at a moment's notice because they all run straight through my Elgato. I do use an Elgato HD60, as you can see there. This is the video camera that I use all the time, but I'm probably going to start phasing out. This is a Sony Handycam of some kind. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden Sony Vegas doesn't like it very much, and now I can only import the video as 720p instead of 1080p. The video I'm recording with right now is with my Galaxy Note 9, which can record 4K 60 FPS. So this is definitely the way I'm going to do things in the future. And over here I have my 3DSs. This is my 3DS with a capture card. And I put a Helioptile vinyl on it, and that is my wife's 3DS, which is currently charging. And in there is where I just keep all sorts of extra cords that I don't need. If you guys are interested in the specs on my PC, I don't remember everything, but it is, it has a Ryzen 7 1700K CPU, a GTX 1070 GPU, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and that's pretty much all you guys need to know, isn't it? I can't remember anything else about it, actually. But yeah, then you see all these cords coming out. That is for my controllers, and whenever I'm sitting down here, just need to reach over and grab one of the controllers, and I'm ready to go. Got my Switch Pro controller, my PS4 controller, and my GameCube controller, which currently has replaced my Xbox controller because I use it to play Smash. Speaking of controllers, here's where I keep all of my controllers for my retro games and some of my modern game systems. So I have these nice racks, which makes it very easy to just look down at a glance and see what controller I have and, just pick it up, ready to go in an instant. Those are PlayStation Move controllers, which I will be using to move around R2-B1 when it's all done. Have some extra surge protectors when I don't need them. And there's a surge protector here on this wall that powers up about half the consoles. I actually have 2 surge protectors that power up the consoles, the TV. I really try not to power on more than a few things at once to reduce the fire hazard. It works pretty well, but if you have a setup like mine, you probably are smarter with electricity than I am, so just think about that. Above the controllers is a little Sword Art Online poster that I got when I saw the movie. They gave it away at the theater. Then we got this little area. This was made by my dad. The display thing was made by my dad for old CDs and audio cassettes, and I found out that it works pretty much perfectly for my retro game needs. So we got the few 3DO games that I have. Road Rash is probably the best one. My one Sega CD game, my one Sega Saturn game, my one Atari 5200 game, my one Intellivision game, my Atari 2600 collection, including E.T., the Extraterrestrial, greatest game ever made. I think that went there, yeah. There we go. And then below that is my current PlayStation 1 collection. I love the PlayStation 1. I don't know what it is about it, but it just screams amazing to me. I know the graphics, don't really hold up these days, but there's something about the graphics on the PS1 that speak to me so well. Let's see. Standout games include Final Fantasy VII, which I really, really want to beat. I love it so much. I've just gotten to the part where Eris has joined my team. Yeah. And then over here is just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. Caseless PS1 games over there for the most part. Some demo discs, some old PC games, Disney stuff. But this stands out to me, this old 3.5 floppy disk, because this was my very first game. This isn't even a copy of it. This was the actual disc. That was my very first game. My dad had an old Windows before 95, and this is basically the only game he ever bought on it, and it was for me, and I found it very recently, and I've re-added it to my collection, and that's probably my favorite part of this whole thing, maybe even my whole room, is just that is my very first video game. I don't have a way of playing it, but there it is. As you can see there, I've got all sorts of VHS tapes in the back there. Those were all recorded by my dad over several decades. I need to really sift through it and see what all movies are on there, but it's a lot. And above it is my Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire poster. And then finally, the piece de resistance is my setup. Oh man, where do I even start? Let's start with the non-gaming thing first, just to get it out of the way. This is, it's hard to explain what it is. It can do all sorts of things. It can play records, it can play CDs through there, it can play 2 tapes including dubbing onto one of them. You can play the radio and you can plug it in and dub whatever you plug in onto the tape. My dad had this and I recently got it working again. It plays everything just fine except for the cassettes because the motor rubber bands have finished or they've just melted. I need to get new ones. But yeah, and then I got my Vanoss mask and a Helioptile hat that was given to me by a different patron / mod on my server. And we got my beautiful poster for Pokemon I Choose You. And then let's get to the consoles. I got an Intellivision Tandyvision, which is not hooked up right now. I got my Wii U gamepad hooked up to my Wii U. This was the very first console that I bought while it was relevant. Xbox 360, stereo receiver for that. A second Nintendo Switch. This one is the Pokemon themed Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Nintendo Switch. And I just swapped that by accident. Did not mean to do that. Let's just swap it back. We've got my Atari Jaguar with my sole Atari Jaguar game. We've got my OG Xbox with a skin on it that just came with the system. I just haven't taken it off. My original Xbox One, which I mostly just use now as a Blu-ray player for the TV. And the TV itself, I wish I could tell you exactly what it is. It's a Sanyo, it's 32 inches. It may not be big, it may not be 4K, but it gets the job done exactly how I need it to. Behind the case, we've got my GameCube with Game Boy Player, my personal own Nintendo 64 that I had growing up, all hooked up, ready to go, my PlayStation 2, Atari 2600, routed through one of my childhood VCRs for recording purposes, PlayStation 1, which I put on its side because the drive is burned out and that just gravity helps it play a little better. Sega Genesis with 32X attached, and my Super Nintendo, and my NES. And those are all the consoles I have. And some of you are probably looking at this picture and wondering how it's so sharp. Well, that's because I'm using this thing. This is an open source scan converter, OSSC, and it's using a format called RGB SCART. See that big plug in the back? My European fans probably know what that is, but us in North America, we didn't get that. But long story short, old consoles, either natively or with some modding, can output this beautiful crystal clear picture that you would swear is emulated, but it's not. And it uses the OSSC, and I personally use the Hama AV Selector 100S to swap between my different consoles. So far, the only two consoles I have that use SCART are my Super Nintendo and my PlayStation, but it creates this beautiful picture, and at long last, I think I'm done. That does it for my room tour 2019. My Nintendo sign fell. Ignore that. But yeah, that does it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what your favorite part of the room tour was, and I'll be back in a few years with more. And I'll be back, hopefully soon, with R2 a little more ready to shine in the spotlight. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Talk to you later.